NFL draft just ended. We have a ton of receiver news. AJ Brown got traded. Marquise Brown got traded. Deebo Samuel unfortunately did not, or fortunately, if you were on that side of the news story. But more on all of this in a minute. Stay tuned.
Let's go get him. Let's go get him today, man. Let's go. Hey, dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dominate.
Wow, wow, wow. That's all I have to say about the NFL draft today. A crazy first round happened. And I mean, a lot of people thought, that the first round was going to be a little timid. Not many teams wanted to trade up. It was going to be a lot of teams looking to trade down. And that's why a lot of people thought the first round was going to be quiet. And this year proved nothing different than what was expected. Trayvon Walker went number one overall over the expected pick in Aiden Hutchinson. I personally had mocked that today, although I don't necessarily agree with the pick. Walker goes number one overall. That was the first one. I mean, we saw two big receiver trades, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. AJ Brown was dealt from the Tennessee Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles for the 18th overall pick, a first rounder, and the 101 overall pick, a third rounder in this draft. AJ Brown obviously was one of the four amazing wide receivers that were expected to get big time extensions this year in terms of AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and of course 49ers favorite Deebo Samuel. AJ Brown ended up getting his first after his trade, 4 years, 100 million with 57 million guaranteed. Now, let me tell you why that is a deal that is optimistic for the 49ers in the case that they want to get Deebo Samuel back on an extension. Now, AJ Brown, when going into this trade or going into this extension, the previous marker for what Deebo Samuel's potential deal would have been were Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs. Tyreek Hill got the biggest deal in terms of both total guarantees, guaranteed at signing, and the amount of money overall. Tyreek Hill got 4 years, 120 million, 30 million a year, average annual salary. He also got 72.2 million total guarantees, and then 55 million or 52.5 million guaranteed at signing. So he got a ton of money. But this deal proves a little different because this sets the market back to equilibrium. When you look at it, AJ Brown didn't get the 30 million. He only got 25 a year, which is still an astounding amount. Gets 57 million in guarantees instead of 72. So now you have a baseline. In my opinion, this is the floor for Deebo Samuel's deal. You expect a deal probably in the 26, 27 million a year range, and probably expect a deal with 60 to 65 million in guarantees. Now, why is that optimistic? Because the 49ers might have had to pay 70 million in guarantees for Deebo Samuel, given how the market was before. But now that the market's kind of reset in terms of an equilibrium, you have a little more optimism that the deal can get done. I think the 49ers showed their hand today. They showed that they didn't want to move Deebo Samuel, which matched what John Lynch said earlier in the year, earlier in the week. Now, obviously, there was time to move him. The Jets reportedly offered the pick 10 and a pick swap, which never materialized. Obviously, that would like erase any magnitude of a trade in recent history or NFL history itself, because if you trade for pick 10 and a pick swap potentially of 38 and 61, that's the biggest receiver trade in NFL history. And I mean, AJ Brown's deal was a first and third. It wasn't even a first and second. So, there are different correlating stories. And if the 49ers were to get a first and second round pick in return for Deebo Samuel, maybe that is something that you consider. But we're now in a spot where that is off the table. The 49ers are inclined to keep Deebo Samuel, it appears. And I understand that there are tensions on both sides, and this deal may never materialize. But I think that there's optimism after today for two reasons. One, they kept him. If they felt that it was at an ultimatum and that Deebo Samuel would not return to the franchise under any circumstance, they would have dealt him at pick 10 and they would have taken a receiver probably, or they would have taken one of the edge rushers like Jermaine Johnson. However, that wasn't the case. Instead, they stick with their receiver Deebo Samuel, and AJ Brown's extension provides optimism. Like I said earlier, because the money now, it's not necessarily record breaking. You can get away with a $26, $27 million average annual salary and around $60 to $65 million in guaranteed money. And let me tell you why that deal is actually feasible for the 49ers. I know a lot of people are going to point to the guaranteed money being too much, but in reality, the guaranteed money and guaranteed signing are different. And I think Deebo Samuel would actually like guarantees in terms of injury, given his way or his style of play. And when you look at the contract, if you're getting $65 million in guaranteed money, well, guess what? The 49ers might have to pony up and pay a guaranteed salary for a third year. I think that that's okay in this case, though, because you're lowering APY for the first 3 years. When you look at Deebo Samuel, if he's getting $66 million in guaranteed money, that's $22 million guaranteed for the first 3 years of his contract. And $22 million guaranteed is a lot better than the 30 or the $25 million that the Miami Dolphins are paying Tyreek Hill for his first 3 years, or his second, third, and fourth year. And then it's also similar to what Devontae Adams is getting. Devontae Adams is currently technically on a 3-year, $67.5 million deal. I think that that's a feasible deal. You pay him $22 million over the next 3 years, and then that fourth year you can backload the rest of that money in the deal, but he'll never see that contract. You void it before then, and if not, or if you either void it before then by taking the out clause and renegotiating an extension, or you move on, given if Deebo Samuel doesn't really perform to the standard that his contract deserves. So I think that it would be a very solid deal for both sides. I do think that there is a potential that that happens. Why? Because Deebo Samuel then is setting the market over his competitor in AJ Brown. And Deebo Samuel also, like, he gets the long-term flexibility because you're paying him the guaranteed money, which ensures that money is going into his pocket, which right now is an uncertainty, right? I am sure Deebo Samuel does not want to play this year on his $4 million option. Why? Because a lot can go wrong. We've seen it in the past where an injury arises, and then after that, your money significantly decreases, especially for a player of Deebo Samuel's caliber, whose style might contribute to some of those injuries. So I think he wants security this year, and when it seems like the 49ers aren't going to trade him, I think that the best way for him to get his money is through the 49ers. And I think that he is doing his, like, I've been kind of a staunch proponent that he wasn't going to be traded because I thought it wasn't in his best interest in terms of financial standpoint. If he gets traded like AJ Brown did, he's going to be the one that requires the extension first. And I don't think that in this case, I don't think that he would have made as much money if he got the extension first as opposed to second. We're talking the same way about Deebo Samuel that we would be talking about AJ Brown if it was flipped and Deebo Samuel got flipped first, because that's just how the market goes. So right now, I think that AJ Brown is the one that's setting the floor for Deebo Samuel, and Deebo Samuel will get a little more money. I think it's smart in his choice not to be looking to get or not to get traded, because he gets an extension of more money now. And I think his best chance to succeed is with the 49ers in terms of financial and on the field basis, because you have a quarterback in Trey Lance who's proven himself in his 2.5 games to be a capable NFL starter. At least he has the potential to be that. And I think that obviously his familiarity with Kyle Shanahan helps that. Now, am I saying Deebo is a system wide receiver? Absolutely not. He's not. He can fit in any system, but I think his comfortability would be best in San Francisco. I do like the idea of extending him now, especially because the money is kind of set, where you don't necessarily have to pay top dollar for Deebo Samuel, meaning $30 million, which is outrageous for a wide receiver. Instead, you can settle on that 26, 27 APY. And in reality, Deebo Samuel isn't getting paid 26, 27 million a year. It's more the 21, 22, which was the expected amount going into this offseason. So that's my little spiel on Deebo Samuel. Thank you guys for watching. More content coming tomorrow. Obviously, the 49ers are making their first selection tomorrow. Crazy, crazy draft. Just going through it right now. I mean, we saw Cole Strange sneak into the first round when many selected him as a third rounder in many mock drafts. Cole Strange, that was, I guess, the biggest surprise. Obviously, Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback to go. That was also a little surprising. He stays in Pitt after going to Pittsburgh, goes to Pittsburgh Steelers. Trevor Penning went 19. And I mean, a good run on receiver went. Jahan Dotson ended up sneaking in to the middle of the first round, going 16. So there were a good amount of crazy picks. I am going to be proud to say that I nailed the first 4 picks of the draft. 4 out of 32. I think that's a pretty good grade for me. I thought that Walker would go, then Hutch, then Stingley, then Sauce. Giants get Kayvon Thibodeau. Giants get Evan Neal. But I think the winner of this draft so far is the New York Jets. You get Sauce Gardner, and then you get the guy who you were looking at 10 and Jermaine Johnson at 26, while also nabbing a receiver in Garrett Wilson. Now, Could they have gone Kayvon Thibodeau, who, in my opinion, might be the best edge in this draft? Of course. But I think if you get three quality players at positions that you were looking at going into this draft and come out with potentially top 10 players in the class, three players of that caliber in the first round where you get that fifth year option as well, I think that's a win. Jets should be very happy with how their draft went, and they're still in a prime position to succeed because they have another second round pick very early where they can go with another position such as the safety position. They can go like multiple different directions there, be it linebacker, be it safety, whatever it may be. But that's my little spiel on Deebo Samuel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.